Today I'm going to do a video comparing makeup sponges. So the two sponges that I have here with me today are the Real Techniques Complexion Expert Complexion Sponge and the Beauty Blender. So the Real Techniques is probably a third of the price of the Beauty Blender. I've personally never used the Beauty Blender, hence why it's still in the package here. But I have used the Real Techniques ones. So I'm going to get a price comparison. I'll just pull it up on my phone here on my little Sephora app for the Beauty Blender. So the Beauty Blender in Canada retails on Sephora for $26 plus tax. The Real Technique sponges, I looked it up on Amazon in Canada, amazon.ca. You can get a 2-pack of sponges for $14.97 plus shipping and taxes, or you can get a 4-pack of the Miracle Complexion Sponge for $24.99 plus taxes and shipping. So basically you can get a 4-pack of these for the price of one of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one sponge on one half of my face and another on the other half of my face. I'm going to compare and see if there really is a difference between the two, and is it really worth spending 2/3 more of the cost on one sponge. So right off the bat, there's a couple of differences that I noticed about these sponges upon wetting them. The Beauty Blender, although I'm not sure if for some reason I got the swirly one and I don't know if it's different to the original one. I don't see why it would be, but it didn't get as big as I expected it to, and it stayed fairly firm and almost kind of rough compared to the Real Techniques one, which got huge, and it's very soft. I don't know if maybe this one, maybe it's more porous and absorbs more of your foundation, but I'll just wait and put it on my face and see how they work. I'm just going to go ahead and use my MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation. I have the shade NW13. So I'll shake it up and I'm going to squeeze some out on the back of my hand. So I'm going to put a couple pumps back here. And on this side of my face, I'm going to try it with the Real Techniques sponge. So let's see if I can feel a difference. I don't know whether or not to go in with the flat side or the round side. Okay, I'll start with the flat side. Then I'll just kind of pounce it on. So this one applies really nice. It applies really even. Yeah, I think that this applied quite nicely. Let me put it on my forehead and see. Ooh, that's a lot. That is a lot of forehead. The shade difference looks so insane. But trust me, there's the color match right there. That's just super red. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I don't often use sponges, to be honest, and most of the time I use my brush. I get fuller coverage that way, and usually I'm looking for fuller coverage. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. So that's with the Real Techniques one. Now on this side I'm going to use the Beauty Blender. So let's see how that goes. I'm going to use the bottom part to pounce it in. The Real Techniques one, I did find it actually does absorb quite a bit. Just to remind my daughter playing in the background. Anyway. I don't know if I notice much of a difference upon initial application here. I don't think I do. Beauty Blender is definitely still quite firm. Actually, you know what? I do think that it's not absorbing as much as the Real Techniques one. Which is good, I guess, because that'll make your product last a little bit better. Go a little bit further. Actually, I think I'm loving the finish of this foundation with a sponge.
I want some that small. Small?
Okay, so my honest thoughts. Would I splurge normally and get this one? Honestly, no. Yeah, this one seems to absorb more foundation. Probably it did. I initially thought it would be a little more porous, just based on the feel and the overall fluffiness of it. But I wouldn't spend as much as a Beauty Blender costs when I could just get this one for a fraction of the price. They do, honestly, the finish is the same on both sides of my face. The overall experience basically felt the same. The only thing that I did like about this one over the Real Techniques one is being a little bit more firm. I found it was kind of, the product seemed to actually spread around a little easier without it just absorbing. And then this one I find also was leaving like lines where it was pressing in on the skin, but they're minor things and it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna actually test also how it puts the concealer under the eyes, so let's just give that a go. For the concealer I'm gonna use, it's kind of either the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind or the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer. Let's go with the Instant Age Rewind under the eyes and see how that goes. Let's see.
How do you do? Yellow.
That one's a little kind of yellow under there. Okay, I'm gonna use both. This one's a little bit yellow toned for me right now with this foundation. So I'm gonna kind of use that to sort of correct under there, and then I'll use a little bit of the other one. So this side, of course, I'm gonna continue with the theme. I'm gonna use the Real Techniques sponge, which seems to be really nice and gentle and soft under there. Definitely picks up, it's picking up the excess product and really spreading it around nicely into there. And using the Beauty Blender under this eye.
Pinka, Pinka, where are you? What's this pink?
Oh, you know what? I actually like the Beauty Blender more so far right now under my eye. Because it's firmer, I actually feel like I have a little bit more control with it getting into this area right here. It's a little bit smaller. It's not so like smooshy and big. I actually think I might like this better for concealer than the other for sure. I'm going to add a little bit of this over top though, just to kind of tone down the yellowness of that. This one has more of a neutral undertone, which works better with the foundation I have on right now. I'll just kind of put that. I don't want a lot on there though. Again, I'll just use this sponge on this side, see how that goes. For this shade, I'm actually going to drag it down a little bit so it all blends nice.
Here you go. Oh.
Dang. Okay, and this one under this eye.
Put this on you. I give my love. This song.
Yeah, I do see this isn't taking as much of the concealer away as the Real Techniques one, which is good. Yeah, so that's that. Honestly, as far as my opinion goes on these sponges, they're not exactly comparable because they're completely different sponges. Well, I don't know where that came from. Was that on my shoulder? Okay. Lexi, be careful. They're completely different sponges. Like, they feel like completely different textures. It's just kind of more what you prefer, what texture you prefer, what level of firmness you prefer. But for me personally, I would honestly just go with the Real Techniques one because you're going to get that same seamless kind of airbrush looking nice finish and more natural finish that you would get with a sponge with this. This one is very, it does actually, it fits in under the eyes very nicely. I definitely prefer it for that, but not to spend like that much more. So that's just my opinion on these sponges. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.